So I don't spend as much time on X or Twitter as I once did. Shout out to Dana actually for, I think she retweeted this and I saw this. This Michael Lauer, he works at the NHC now. He's actually a friend of mine, so even worse that I didn't see it to begin with. But he pointed out, who would have guessed that Washington County, Maine, easternmost point in the United States, would be in the forecast cone this year more than any other state, any county in the U.S. Look at that. So 162 hours. No cone falls for South Florida or Louisiana, which is unusual. Obviously, they typically do. Now, let me explain this graphic a little bit. So the cone is, you remember we had a cone of uncertainty when we're talking about hurricanes. So that's the National Hurricane Center's projected path, and there are edges to that to show you some uncertainty as to where it might hit. So cone being over Washington County doesn't imply that we got hit with many hurricanes. It means we were on the edge, usually western edge of them. So this is the history for the year, and I know this is a very TV-friendly graphic from the National Hurricane Center. But Lee, as you all remember, was one that did it make landfall technically in Washington County? Now I have to get really close to the screen. Ooh, that's close. I don't know. It was very, very close. But the eye wall did make some landfall there. Yes.
Right.
Yep. And then we had Philippe, which was close. That's the closest next one. And then the rest of these cones, guys, were simply being on the western edge of uncertainty for storms that went out to sea, more or less, or hit in Canada. So it is interesting. You know, we talked at the beginning of the season about the National Hurricane Center puts out a forecast for how many tropical systems they expect, how many majors do they expect, but what they can't forecast and what they don't try to forecast is where there are landfalls and if those landfalls are impactful. So this was a season in which we did have some. We had a lot of fish storms that were out to sea, safely so, and other years we've had fewer storms, but we've had strong landfalls in heavily populated areas. So the legacy of a season isn't always just raw numbers, but there's an anomaly to have part of Maine be the most targeted kind of of the season, and we had a couple scares.
The map helped because I think we quickly forget about all the ones that were like, we're watching it, went out to sea. We're watching it, went out to sea, but those count as potentially in our area.
That's what a lot of them were. Lee was the only one that was like more of a direct hit, which, you know, and then Philippe, I remember thinking like, we're probably good here. Yeah, there's a couple that was like just pushed out there, but interesting point. The season technically not over yet, but it tends to really settle down this time of the year.
Okay, good perspective, Keith.